Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello race fans, Peter Mackay here, welcoming you to the season finale of the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series. We are here in glorious Texas at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, one of the newest and most impressive motor racing facilities anywhere in the world. Joining me in the commentary box today is not Sam Fitzpatrick, it is in fact Dane Baird, who is filling in for Sam while he's off at university. Dane, how are you today, sir?
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I'm doing very well indeed, and I am very much looking forward to this championship battle. We have not one, but two, because both the Pro Championship and the AM Championship will be decided today.
You're absolutely spot on, and as you can see, it has come down very, very close to Joel Evans and Patrick Sokolowski. They have traded blows back and forward all season long. They've some circuits it's been Evans, some circuits it's been Sokolowski. It's been really, really superb entertainment as well. So it all comes down to those guys. Thomas Wangen has very much an outside mathematical chance, but it would require him to win both races and for Evans and Sokolowski to hit issues. In the AM class, it's equally close. We have Mihail Velikov going up against Pontus Overstrom. Now, this is interesting because in the Pro class, both Evans and Sokolowski are at the wheel of the Porsche Cayman, whereas in the AM class, Overstrom is in the BMW and Velikov is in the Porsche. And Dane, give us an impression of what the story has been during the week with the comparison between those two vehicles.
Well, the Apex Racing Academy coaches Johan Harth and Ronaldo Lorena decided that despite the back straight, I'll quote you here, Peter, the half the length of Texas on this circuit is surprisingly the Porsche that came out on top through the testing period, and the coaches decided to give the Porsche 10 kilograms of ballast which is very similar to what it's had pretty much the entire season, really, except for the last round at Road Atlanta, where we had none, and the previous round from that at Daytona, where the BMW had some ballast added, because obviously Daytona has some very long straights, or flat-out sections. But yeah, the Porsche's got 10 kilos of ballast, and yet still, the top three, Wangen, Sokolovsky, and Evans, are in Porsches.
Indeed, it is all still steady. Of course, the Porsche being a mid-engined car through this section, particularly here, which was actually modelled after Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel at Silverstone. So you can see very, very fast left, and then a right, and then a left, and then another right. So it's just a really, really tricky section there, and that's where the Porsche will really come into its own. The BMW, the front-engine twin turbocharged BMW, a little bit more of a dragster, not quite as nimble and manoeuvrable through the twisties, but does have that speed down the straights. But it would appear that the Porsche has the advantage today. And, well, Thomas Wangen, he puts it on pole position. So he is, he's thought, I want to be part of this championship battle as well. Joel Evans just a whisker ahead of Sokolowski right now in qualifying. So here at Circuit of the Americas, qualifying not quite as much of a problem, as it's such a large circuit that there are quite a lot of different overtaking opportunities. So we see the German Austin Powers, Matthias Beer, out on track right now, laying down his fastest lap time that he can. He's fastest of the BMW runners right now. Down he comes down this eternal back straight, which when the MotoGP guys come here at the beginning of the season, wow, it is really impressive to watch those nearly 300 horsepower motorcycles come down there at well over 200 miles an hour. But pace will be a little bit more sedate in these GT4 machines, but the action will be equally fierce. And Dane, I have to say, I've been thinking about this all week. I actually do not know how to call this, if it's going to be Evans or Sokolowski. They have been so evenly matched.
Yeah, definitely the two drivers have been on it the entire season, and like you said, they have been very evenly matched. Patrick Sokolowski going for a little bit of pit entry practice. Drivers are obviously going to have to make a pit stop in the second of the two races. The first one, 25 minutes in length. The second one, 40 minutes with a mandatory pit stop. So he's obviously taking it down the pit lane with 20 seconds left of qualifying. It very much does seem that Thomas Wangen is very much on the pace, and he's 3/10 up on Joel Evans for potentially a pole position with 10 seconds left.
Yeah, he is looking very, very strong indeed, and the time clock will elapse, and yeah, it will. Looks like it's going to be it will be Thomas Wangen on pole position, but our two championship contenders, Evans and Sokolowski, separated by just 1/10 of a second over a 3.5 mile track, so very close indeed. So let's see how they line up then for the opening encounter of the evening. Thomas Wangen on pole position in his Porsche for Team Vikings alongside Joel Evans. On row 2 will be Patrick Sokolowski and the first of the BMWs, Matthias Beer. Row 3 will be Roger Christiansen and Mark Silcock. Row 4 will be Mihail Velikov and Marco Tolman. Pontus Overstrom will start 9th, with Jeff Miner in 10th and Will Newell in 11th spot. So a nice compact field today, so it's just going to be a straight fight between both Velikov and Overstrom and Evans and Sokolowski. So the drivers now start to gather up behind the Porsche 911 pace car, ready to go for the first 25 minutes of racing around this amazing Circuit of the Americas layout. Of course, this circuit was opened on the 21st of October 2012, so one of the most modern facilities in the world. And what a way they had, Dane, they had quite an amazing welcome party for this circuit. They sent out Mario Andretti to run some laps in his championship-winning Lotus 79.
Every week I do a broadcast with you, Peter, and you told me something that I have never ever heard of before. I am amazed every single week as the drivers set off down the end of what is the very long back straight here, where the BMW should, in theory, excel. So it's going to be interesting because Matthias Beer, if he can keep up with the 3 Porsche Caymans in front of him, he might have a good shot at slingshotting a lot of them down the back straight if he can keep up with them through the S's in Sector 1, which is going to be a tough task. Also worth noting that the BMW is much harder on tyres at this circuit than the Porsche, so that might come into effect near the end of both races as well.
Good point. Yes, of course. I presume then that comes down to the power delivery. Of course, the Porsche is naturally aspirated. It's got a nice wide power band and very linear power delivery, whereas the BMW a little bit spikier perhaps and has a lot more torque. So maybe perhaps just lays a bit more stress through the tyres. I remember many years ago I had a Skoda Fabia VRS, which was a front-wheel drive car with quite a lot of turbo diesel power going through the front wheels, and it absolutely destroyed front tyres. So maybe it's the same. There you go. I've just compared a diesel Skoda to a BMW racing car. There you go. As they come around the penultimate corner, turn 19, a 20-corner circuit here at the Circuit of the Americas, and you can see our SDK track map on the right. You can see the wiggles and weaves of COTA, as it's known, as it's abbreviated. And look at this, Sokolowski gets a move, and what has happened to Evans? He's dropped behind. That's really strange. Roger Christensen goes past. Oh my word, what has happened to Joel Evans? He's dropping off the pace. And he looks up the inside, he looks to have recovered, but Dane, that is a very, very bizarre start for Joel Evans.
Well, he was stuck on the outside of Thomas Wangen, and I'm pretty sure he just got caught out. Wangen went very early indeed. And yeah, I think he really did just get caught out, and obviously everyone else getting the jump, being behind. Wangen's already gone. He didn't know. He had absolutely no idea that Wangen had gone, and he just gets swarmed here. You can't see, but the BMW Matthias Beer is just behind. There he is on the screen now. And the BMW obviously has better acceleration than the Porsche at the best of times, but give it a head start and it's going to fly past. And luckily for Joel, he managed to have some good defensive work. But oh, look at this. Beer is actually caught up, and he's managed to stay with Evans through the S's. And now we're going to get to see the true power of that BMW, I think, coming down the back straight.
So here comes Matthias Beer in the Munich missile. He's right in the draft of Joel Evans. Joel Evans weaves one way. Does he hold his line? He does. Good stuff there. But a side drafting, goodness me, that's very close indeed. Side by side down the straight, you can go about 4 wide down this very, very wide back straight. And Wangen still leads into the hairpin, and Sokolowski getting barged out the way, but we know Sokolowski's a hard racer. Dives up the inside. Wangen goes on the switchback. And that is classic Circuit of the Americas. There's lots of... Oh my goodness me, that is not on at all. Oh, and Sokolowski's off as well. Oh, and Evans goes by. So Sokolowski has got himself involved in another incident, and it's cost him dear.
You can see there's a lot of damage to the front of that Porsche as well. That is exactly not what he needed. Just interesting to see how far Beer has extended his advantage over Evans down that straight, but here it was just trying to force it down the inside. The gap was never there, and then the secondary contact, 2 cars just getting stuck together a little bit, and that has sent him all the way down to 4th after looking for the lead of the race. He's been very lucky, I think. Look at the train of cars in the background, but Beer is up into the lead.
Here he goes. Yeah, baby. It's the German Austin Powers Matthias Beer in that very psychedelic paint scheme on that BMW M4. He's got Roger Christensen right in his wheel track. So this race has just turned on its head. And Dane, I have to say that what Thomas Wangen there was incredibly unlucky. Absolutely nothing he could do. And Sokolowski just ploughed him off the track.
Yeah, Sokolowski down the inside into the second of the apexes into that stadium section, and just really sent it in there. Gap was never really there. The problem he's got with that as well is even if he manages to catch back up to Evans and even overtake him, he is almost certainly getting a penalty for that, because then that's going to be potentially 10 points. Oh, as Joel Evans down the inside, there is a lot of room on the inside, but Christensen's going to come back at him, and now I might be wrong here, but I think Beer has got probably the best chance of all of these drivers of winning this race. Because the BMW pulls away from the Porsche in the straights, as you can see. Despite the draft, the gap is increasing. And even though there are these little twisty bits, you can't overtake here.
Well, that's it. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Especially in the S's, where the Porsches gain the most time to the BMWs. In the S's, there's no ways you're overtaking there. I think Beer has got a pretty good shot here.
I think you're spot on there, Dane. Absolutely. Yeah, I think he's as long as he can basically just hold his position, stretch out down the back straight. As long as he doesn't lose too much time or get overtaken before that back straight, then he can sort of park his car in the middle on the racing line. You're spot on there. So a chance for Matthias Beer to get a victory here. We had a double podium last time out. So it's game on here. This is, I have to say, I was expecting an Evans versus Sokolowski race at the front, but we've got something completely different here.
Absolutely. Through that long Istanbul turn 8-esque corner near the end of COTA here, and Beer leads them on to lap 3 then into turn 1. The gap between him and Evans virtually non-existent in terms of distance. It's about a half a second between them on track. But here, let's see how much Evans can catch up through the S's. The BMW really big and heavy and doesn't like it. Oh, and Beer has got that all sorts of wrong. He has to slow up even more than he would normally have to, but like I said, there is really nowhere to overtake in the S's section, so despite his error here, Evans can't make a move, although Evans might fancy a look down into what I believe is turn 11, which we're coming up to now, but the BMW just pulls away with its better acceleration.
Yeah, and of course, I wonder what the difference is in braking. I wonder if the BMW is pretty good on braking as well. It appears so, but this is where it gets absolutely soul-destroying for Joel Evans, as you can just see this very brightly coloured, very pretty BMW just dragging away inch by inch all the time. And I tell you who this is going to help, Dane. It's Patrick Sokolowski, because Joel Evans is probably getting a little bit held up, possibly, although there's not really anything you can do about it. As you mentioned quite rightly, the overtaking opportunities are where the Porsche is fast. Oh, as Rogers Christensen is off. Well, what happened to him for Team Vikings?
Coming down the straight, this is into turn number 12.
I don't believe it. A tap from, so Team Vikings, they're well they've both been capsized by Patrick Sokolowski. Both of them, both Wangen and Christiansen, have both fallen to be honest, over aggression of Patrick Sokolowski.
Definitely Beer and Evans closer than ever. I think Evans has actually got alongside him now. Oh, Beer shutting the door firmly. You're not going down the inside of me. You're going to have to go around me if you want to get past. Now moves back towards the outside to try and get a better racing line. Evans, oh, little bit of contact. Saw the bumper push in a little bit on the BMW. And now riding on board the race leader. Coming through the S's now. Let's see how much Evans can close through this time. I think this is a much better line for Beer through here than it was a lap ago. But those massive orange curbs are not like the regular curbs that you might see on iRacing. You really do not want to touch them at all. They will destroy your car from the inside. And Beer once again got Evans right on his back, and there you can see just a little bit pulling away as they come down towards turn 11, and they're about to go onto the long back straight. That must be, like you said in the last lap, soul destroying for the Porsche drivers. I mean, seeing that BMW, despite the fact that you're in its draft, it is still pulling away from you.
Yeah, it's an absolute missile, isn't it, down the straights there. BMW M4, but do you know what? It makes for really interesting racing, having the cars making their lap time in two different ways. Just look at that there, just Beer just runs a little bit wide on the braking, and that allows Evans to come back. And this is the section where that little manoeuvrable Porsche can just turn so well.
Sokolowski.
Oh, here he comes. Uh-oh. So, with Sokolowski, that damage from that incident with Thomas Wangen doesn't seem to be holding him back at all. He seems to have a lot of pace, and, well, we've seen him race very, very, very hard so far, and doesn't have any problems with trading a bit of paint. So, let's see how this one plays out. So, Matthias Beer, he could do Sokolowski a favour here. Evans goes wide. They're going side by side now into the final corner. Who's going to take it? Evans is going to run it wide and get on the gas early onto the paint. And he's got it done. Great driving there from Joel Evans.
Absolutely. Interesting to note, the drivers do have an incident limit. Oh, and look at that, Beer around the outside. The BMW looks like it might be better on the brakes. It's certainly better on acceleration. Has he just made the move back up into the lead? Yes, he has.
Absolutely fantastic move there from Matthias Beer. Sold the dummy, went out round the outside. Sokolowski takes a big look at the S's. That's a very bold move, but wow, brilliant stuff. I think you're right, Dane. It's definitely better on the brakes, the BMW, but then it's just all in the changes of direction and in the turning where the Porsche is good. Here goes Sokolowski, sends it up the inside. Joel Evans gives him the room. Oh, it's not reciprocated. My goodness. And here comes Silcock in the team. Oh, Evans is round. Evans is round and he's in the wall. What happened there? And meanwhile, Velikov's up to second overall. Oh, Joel Evans. Now, what we really need to see, was he helped around there? Let's have a look.
There was definitely contact between the two drivers. I thought they were both going round. Look at this.
Actually, I think that Sokolowski's going straight, minding his own business, and Evans just got a little bit hot and landed in the side of him. How do you see it, then?
Well, he doesn't give him any space here. Sokolowski says, fine, I'll go around the outside.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but there's Velikov up into second, and Matthias Beer with a huge advantage now in the lead.
Indeed, and well, looks like there's certainly going to be some sort of post-race scrutiny for Patrick Sokolowski, and maybe now for Joel Evans as well. Who knows? But goodness me, both Evans and Sokolowski have almost taken each other out of. One of them's got to win it, but they're both really having a race of attrition right now. As Mark Silcock goes up the inside for Team Hutch. Through he goes then at the last corner. Sokolowski rubs him on the way through. And, well, for Mihail Velikov, this is a dream. He's in second overall, so he'll get a huge haul of points. And his championship rival in the AM class, Pontus Oversum, is back in sixth.
As I was saying, as we reached the start-finish rate on the last lap, the drivers have an incident limit. iRacing incident points, you get 1x, 1 incident point for running wide or going off the racing surface. Get a replay here of Mark Silcock heading into turn 1. That's a brilliant move. Up into third then. Oh! Patrick Sokolowski cutting off Thomas Wangen just behind, who has now joined onto the back of this little 3-car Porsche train here. But as I was saying, I'm going to try and get it out quickly this time. Incident limit. It is 20. Oh, 3 wide. Every time I try and explain myself. Oh, and more contact between Sokolowski and Wangen. And now, my point is even more relevant because Sokolowski's now been involved in 4 different contacts that would probably get him a 4x. The drivers only have 20 incident points to spare. I've seen him run wide many times over the course of the last 6 laps. Up the inside, he's going to go on Pontus Overstrom, who's moved up into 5th. Side by side still. I would not be surprised if Patrick Sokolowski has or is about to get a drive-through penalty.
So for clarification, Dane, is it 20 incident points per race or across the whole 2-race event?
As far as I'm concerned, it's per race.
Per race, okay. So
And then an extra one every 5 incident points afterwards. And the race is only about halfway through.
well, he's definitely had 4, like you say, 4 significant bumps that would trigger 4 incident points. There you go. Well spotted, my friend. Gee whiz, that's... Unless he's coming in to repair damage.
Oh!
But
I just heard major contact out of the final corner. As we watched him, that was Christensen. You can see his car is very heavily damaged, and he is now getting swarmed by some BMWs. Evans moves back up into P5 though.
So what happened to Roger Christensen? This is carnage here at the Circuit of the Americas. And Dane, I tell you what, I know some of the drivers weren't entirely sure about this choice of circuit, but I have to say, from our perspective and for our fans watching on the iRacing Esports Network, we're loving this.
Well, you'd think. Here's the lunge from Thomas Wangen. Evans defends the inside. It wasn't Evans. Sorry, it was Silcock. Defends the inside. Wangen right up the inside and is just slammed into the back of by... oh, you can see the rear wing there just getting thrown off of the Porsche. That might help him a bit on the straights.
Well, he's actually now converted his Porsche GT4 into touring spec, which is those who are up to pace with the values of whether your car is in the kind of GT spec or the touring spec. The touring spec actually increases its value quite significantly, so he's actually increased the value of his of his game in there by turning it into touring specification. And like you say, give him a go, he'll be able to fly down the straights now without that rear wing holding him down.
Interestingly, in all of that carnage that we just saw out of the final corner, Offerstrom has lost the position to Jeff Miner. There he is. Now down to 7th. Meanwhile, Velikov still very much in 2nd position, which puts them, if they carry on as they are now, and they finish the race now, it puts them 7 points apart, with Offerstrom just ahead, which is going to make for a very entertaining second race if Velikov can close the gap just a little bit.
Yes, it will. But the only slight fly in the ointment is, of course, is that Overstrom, as he sits right now, will start from 3rd on the grid, whereas Velikov will be back in 8th. So it's just going to come. It's just going to. I feel like the momentum is going to swing back and forward throughout the evening, and well, Matthias Beer defended very, very well, and his rivals faltered behind him, and he's at the moment on a bit of a leisurely Texas cruise now. Is Matthias Beer, so he'll be very, very happy with this one. But goodness me, I mean, Patrick Sokolowski getting 20 incident points in 16 minutes is pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah, it hasn't been the cleanest of races. Velikov is keeping up with Beer, by the way. Cracking job from him. We saw Evans struggling a bit to do so. He is not within drafting range at all, and he is maintaining that gap. You can see on the track map on the top right hand corner of the screen as they all head out of that final corner. You can see on the cameras as well, actually. The gap between Velikov and Silcock is fairly large. It's around about 4 seconds into the relative in the bottom right hand corner as well. So he's looking good for a podium here.
He is indeed, yeah, and this is just exactly what Velikov needed for his championship campaign. And well, he had a torrid day at Mid Ohio, not so good at Road Atlanta, but Overstrom's really been he's the man that came into this round with the momentum. But well, it's been Velikov's day so far in the AM class. Of course, the AM class signalled by the little red icon to the left of their name, and the Pro class signified by the green marker to the left of their name. But tell you what, you got to take your hat off to Thomas Wangen, who's actually really been able to he's been able to fight his way back after being punted about by Sokolowski, and he's really put in some hard work here. Now, he isn't completely out of this, so if he were able to get a good haul of points here and win the second race, I don't know, it would depend what Evans and Sokolowski did, but I don't think, we need to check the math, but I don't think he might be out of it yet.
No, definitely not. And looking at Sokolowski, actually, he's currently sitting in 10th, and for those who've watched the series before, you'll know that the top 10, so everyone in this case except for the driver who finishes last, get inverted for the feature race, which scores double the amount of points as this heat race does, the first race. So he's going to be starting on pole position currently, having finished in 10th. If he does, there's just over 5 minutes left, but you've also got to remember he had already served the drive-through penalty. He didn't pit, you can tell because he didn't use his fast repair. You can tell that because his car is still very much damaged. But that means he's within 5 points or less of another drive-through penalty, which would put him behind Newell at this rate, and then he would be starting dead last on the grid for the second race. So he's got to watch it just a little bit. It doesn't look like he's got much of a chance of catching up to Tolman, who we can see here just behind Roger Christensen, but he is still on for a pole position start for race number 2. Christensen's car is absolutely ruined, Peter.
It is. He's had a rough old day out there so far at the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin. Has hosted, well, in a very short career, it's hosted all of the top championships. Of course, hosts Formula 1 every year, MotoGP, also the also the World Endurance Championship. It did used to host the IMSA WeatherTech Championship, but not anymore. The last time they hosted IMSA here was in 2017 when the Taylor brothers, Ricky and Jordan Taylor, won in their Wayne Taylor Racing Cadillac DPI. And they also won the year before in their in a car very dear to my heart, the Corvette C7 Daytona prototype, again for their father's team, Wayne Taylor Racing.
Peter with the facts, as Offerstrom not really catching Jeff Meyer at all in 7th, which is unfortunate for him. Velikov still right on the back of Beer, possibly closer than he was before. That gap is actually coming down quite a considerable amount. Wangen, meanwhile, having battled with Silcock for a good few laps, has dropped back by about 3 seconds. So the gap between Velikov and Wangen, second and third, is now around about 6 to 7 seconds. And Velikov still very much on the back of Beer.
Yeah, Velikov could win this, couldn't he? He's really reeling in Beer, and Beer, as you can see there, getting a little bit slippy and slidey there on the exit. Oh, Silcock's off. Oh, dear, and Tolman goes by, so Silcock has made a mistake in the Team Hutch Porsche. It's coming through the S's, following Thomas Wangen in the touring spec came in. Oh, he didn't listen to you, Dane. You've got to stay off that curb, and wow, that was like a launching pad, and that allows Joel Evans to move up a place.
I speak from experience. I've ended many a race on that curb, and yeah, he's dropped right back down to 9th. He'll start second on the feature race grid, assuming he can't get past Tolman, who has just been promoted up into 8th. Offerstrom has been promoted up into 6th. Because of that, the gap between himself and Velikov, if it ended how it is now, would go up from 7 to 8 points. And I've got my little spreadsheet up with the live points. And Evans currently finishing very far ahead of Sokolowski. But remember, for at least the pro standings, we probably won't have a definitive answer for a couple of days from now, unless Evans pulls out something in the from the bag in the feature race and wins by some considerable amount and gets enough points to fend off any potential penalties.
The only thing I would say is that when Evans has come into this race 16 points ahead, which is not very much at all, but he has, in my eyes, I haven't seen him do anything out on track right now that would warrant a penalty, whereas Sokolowski's done probably 3 things that would warrant a penalty. So, oh god, you hear that crunch noise as well going over the those little yellow triangle curbs. They're horrible things. And yeah, so I wonder if, well, Evans is obviously going to score more points here. It would take a pretty disastrous race for him in race 2 for him to lose the championship at this stage.
That it would.
But the AM class is different though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because those 2 drivers really haven't done anything other than make some pretty clean moves, and look how close Velikov is to Beer. Is this a little bit of tyre wear maybe coming into things at the end of this race? I think this might just be the last lap of the race, so I don't think he's going to have enough time to make a move, but I think Beer's tyres might just be gone, and if this is the case, the BMW drivers might want to consider maybe taking tyres at the pit stop in the second race, because they're going to lose a lot of time near the end.
It seems amazing that it's torn its tyres up in 25 minutes. That's, but it looks like the track temperature is going to be pretty high out there as well, so that doesn't help with the tyre wear. Yeah, 32 degrees centigrade track temperature. That's pretty balmy. But yes, the white flag will be out, and this will be the last lap for these drivers. They head into the final section, which is mostly one line until you get into the final 2 bends. You move up the inside at the final corner. Turn 20 is not out of the question. They come around turn 19, up the hill towards the final left-hander. There's the pit entrance. Velikov gives it a good try, but it's going to be Matthias Beer, the German Austin Powers, flashed his lights in true BMW driver style, and he wins here in the Circuit of Americas. Brilliant drive from him, and also from your AM class winner, Mihail Velikov, with Joel Evans getting it on the podium. That could be critical to the outcome of this championship. And oh, Silcock punts into the side of Tolman, lets him go by. Now, where's Sokolowski? This could be critical. This could be really, really critical. Oh, they get over the line just ahead of him. Oh, and well, that has not been a good 25 minutes for Patrick Sokolowski.
No, it really hasn't. He's finished down in 10th. He'll start on pole for the second race. But yeah, not ideal. Matthias Beer doing some victory donuts. Great to see him up there on top step. Great to see Velikov on the second step as well. I want to know what happened to Joel Evans and Thomas Wangen, because Evans was in 4th, I'm sure, if they came into the final corner. I think that might have been a last corner move for the podium there.
Could have been. That could be critical as well. Yeah, we're hearing that was the case. So, confirmation of the results for the first race of the evening here, with just one more to go in this season. Matthias Beer wins from Mihail Velikov, the AM class driver. Mihail Velikov, a brilliant performance from him, just half a second behind Matthias Beer. Joel Evans was 3rd and solidifies his strong place at the top of the championship. Thomas Wangen is 4th, with Jeff Miner 5th, and Pontus Overstrom in 6th. By no means out of the AM class championship title run either. Roger Christensen was 7th, with Marco Tolman in 8th. Mark Silcock was 9th, and Patrick Sokolowski, a disastrous race for him, in 10th, and Will Newell was 11th. We're going to take a very short break here on the iRacing Esports Network and Apex Racing TV for a little message from our sponsors, Virtual Racing School. Don't go anywhere.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world. including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala,
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke,
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong,
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Apex Racing TV, where we have just been treated to an incredibly dramatic race, opening race of this evening's season finale of the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series. And well, Dane, we expected a very tight battle between Joel Evans and Patrick Sokolowski, and what we got, well, I don't think we ever could have predicted what we got there.
Absolutely not. Really not what, we definitely couldn't have predicted that at all. We were, as you say, expecting a very close battle between the 2 drivers, and what we got was a bit of carnage, shall we say. I think the stewards are going to be pretty busy over the next couple of days once the protests close for the series, and like I said before, I don't think we're going to get a definitive answer on who's won this championship until probably Thursday, the very earliest, which is unfortunate. We really wanted to see them have a good old scrap out on circuit, and it was scrappy.
Yeah, I think there's going to be more. The race steward's desk is going to be busier than the East Kilbride Procurator Fiscal. It's going to take a lot of working through all the footage from that race. But in the AM class, it's a little bit more clear-cut, Dane. Mihail Velikov and Pontus Overstrom only separated by 8 points coming into this one. And here is how they line up for this second race, this 40-minute feature race. Patrick Sokolowski starts on pole position alongside Mark Silcock. Marco Tolman will start in 3rd alongside Roger Christensen. Pontus Overstrom will start from 5th and Jeff Miner 6th. Thomas Wangen will start 7th, with Joel Evans in 8th, Mihail Velikov 9th, Matthias Beer 10th, and finally Will Newell will start from 11th. So Patrick Sokolowski, for him, Dane, I guess he's just got to try and get out front, go and win the race, and see what happens behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he doesn't really have much more he can do, really. He's going to have to try and get the best start possible. He doesn't want to be going 2, possibly 3 wide into turn number 1. He wants to be trying to get a good gap. Fairly short pace lap, only around about halfway through the lap. Not like some of the other circuits that we've visited. Sokolowski, you can see, just running around pretty slowly. Trying possibly not to use too much fuel, because they do have to take a mandatory pit stop, which is in the regulations, but it is regulated pretty much by the fuel levels. Drivers definitely don't have enough fuel to finish the race on, but that does mean that the less fuel you use in the race, the less fuel you have to pick up in the pit stop, and the less time your pit stop will take. So there is an advantage and a bit of strategy to it as well.
There is indeed, of course. Also, we've seen a number of drivers play different strategy games. Of course, at Atlanta, we saw a couple of drivers come in on lap 1 due to the fact that it's so easy to get caught up in traffic there, and a few drivers breaking away, both Evans and I think Wangen as well doing that. Yeah, going to be interesting to see what happens here. So Patrick Sokolowski will pace the field. He's backing the field up right now, waiting to go around turn 20, and we'll be ready to go here for 40 minutes of racing at the Circuit of the Americas. And off he goes. He gets the perfect line out of the final corner and blasts towards turn 1. Patrick Sokolowski heads off at the front of the pack, trying to haul down Joel Evans for the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series Championship.
Oh, Silcox held it around the outside. Oh, he gets very loose. I thought he was about to slam into the side of Patrick there. And now he's got Christensen just behind him. Oh, and he drops it again. Is he going to come back onto the track? No, he's not. He is firmly in the grass. And he is going to drop right to the back.
Well, that was probably not what Patrick Sokolowski needed. He probably would have liked to have had Silcock between him and the chasing pack, but off to the perfect start so far. Already opened up about a second of a gap, which is really what he needed. He's got Roger Christensen in second, Marco Tolman third. So a lot of the danger drivers who could catch him, they've got traffic to get through. So this is where Sokolowski has got to just lay down those qualifying laps and try to build a margin that will be difficult for his rivals to reel in.
Absolutely. All the Porsches getting overtaken by the BMWs on lap 1 here. So they're all still bunched up in the back. There goes Matthias Beer. He's already up into 6th. He's probably going to look down the inside of Pontus Offerstrom now. Is he going to make the move? Yes, he is. He just tucks in down the inside. Nice clean move. They're still side by side though, as is often the case. Into that turn 12, and oh, there goes Wangen up the inside. A little bit of contact made, possibly. Velikov's going to try and go up the inside as well. Velikov needs to finish ahead of Offerstrom in this race if he wants to win the championship. Oh, and what's happened to Tolman? Dropping all the way down to 9th. Beer and Wangen get past Offerstrom, which has allowed Velikov to get right up to the back of him. But what happened just ahead of Thomas Wangen there?
I think Tolman spun. Whether he was helped around or not, I'm not entirely sure, but Tolman spun and then Overstrom bumped into him and took damage. Now we must also Joel Evans playing the strategy game right now. He's ducked into pit lane straight away to take his pit stop. Now, the drivers do have an iRacing fast repair, so it's effectively an instant repair which they can take during their pit stop. And of course, during the pit stop, they can fill up with as much fuel as they need to get to the end. That's what Joel Evans is planning on doing right now. But I think Overstrom might well have a bit of steering damage, because that was a pretty big hit there. So let's see what happens to Tolman. Tolman coming around into the final part of the circuit around turn 15. And does he just lose it? Yeah, just starts to lose it on the entry. So he's strewn across the track. Oh, and just goes into the path of Overstrom. So if I was Overstrom, I would get that BMW into pit lane and get it repaired, because with Velikov in clearly very strong form, he won't want to be battling with a wounded car.
No, definitely not. And he's definitely gonna look in his mirrors there as Velikov just behind. This is probably the biggest battle that we have to look forward to. Offerstrom in his BMW, Velikov in his yellow Porsche. These two drivers fighting for the AM Championship, of course. Jeff Miner, speaking of AM Championship, currently up in 3rd, doing a great job up there. There he is.
Yeah, of course, this is his home race, I suppose, if you like. Certainly the sole American driver in the field. But of course, amazing array of nationalities in this championship. We've got people from Poland, Norway, United States, Germany, Sweden. all kinds of different places. The Netherlands, Wales, even. Goodness. Oh, now I think Jeff Miner might get a bit of a slowdown penalty there. He took a lot of inside curbs. So Matthias Beer goes by into 4th position. Thomas Wangen just up ahead. So I tell you what, to me, Thomas Wangen looks like he's got very, very strong pace. Just the body language of that car looks strong. So interesting to see if he can do anything about Patrick Sokolowski out front.
Yeah, and you got to remember, we saw the BMW's tyres as Velikov heads into the pit lane. That's interesting.
So,
I guess he thought maybe he wasn't going to be able to overtake Offerstrom with the power that the BMW has. But just remember back to the last race. At the end of the last race, Beer was really struggling on his tyres in the BMW. I said before the race, tyre wear is going to come into effect in this race. So maybe he's just thinking, I'll save my tyres, get the fuel stop done, get it over and done with, and then catch back up when all the BMWs have no grip.
Of course, the one thing he can do now, but by virtue of getting some clean air, is he can maximise the Porsche's attributes. The Porsche needs the clean air to get that speed. We see that in qualifying, that in clear air, the Porsche is definitely faster. But in the race, the BMW with that power is so raceable. You can make those overtakes on the straight, whereas the Porsches have got to work harder for that position. Now, this is interesting as well. 2 championship contenders here. Velikov for the AM class, Evans for the Pro class. And for Velikov, he's got 8 points to make up. In terms of how the points are awarded, Dane, where is his how many positions does he have to finish ahead of Overstrom to steal that championship?
Oh, I'm going to go and find out now then. Only 8 points separating them before this race started. As far as I've seen, none of them have been involved in any incidents that they could potentially get a penalty for. Offerstrom was the only one that's actually been involved in any incident at all. And that was, if I was the steward, would definitely not give that, give him a penalty for that. It was kind of out of his control totally. Velikov having a bit of a battle with Joel Evans here.
This is not what Joel Evans needs, that's for sure. I suppose neither does Velikov if they're going to start battling and start slowing one another up. And I tell you what, this has been an amazing performance from Velikov in the AM class to be keeping up with, well, the man who's in position to win this championship in the Pro class. So yeah, Velikov, this has been very impressive. But Thomas Wangen is lapping it. Oh, it's Tolman's off again on the entrance to pit lane. Bizarre. So he's had a problem. He's hit the pit wall going into the pit lane. Dear me. So let's have a look what happens to him. Coming round. Oh, that car does not look. It looks pretty loose. He comes down to take his pit stop, misses the braking zone.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, 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 dear.
He actually doesn't hit the pit wall there. Somehow. Manages to just avoid it, but that's a lot of time lost for Tolman there. He's still in the pits. I think he's... Oh, he's moving again now. 6.3 seconds stop. Let me quickly have a look at what pit stop times have been for the other drivers that have pitted. Around about 7 seconds. Tolman took about a second quicker than the other 2 drivers that have pitted, which are Evans and Velikov. So the bottom 3 drivers on the timing tower have pitted, and the full pit lane time is around about 39 to 40 seconds. So that's not the pit lane delta, that's the time from entry to exit. The delta, you got to of course include the time it would take to go around the regular route, which in this case is pretty much just a straight, so it's not too much time. I would estimate it's around about 30 seconds, just over 30 seconds maybe, of the pit lane delta. So that's what the likes of Sokolowski and Wangen and Beer as well are going to be looking at. Offerstrom especially are going to be looking at in their relative boxes to try and figure out how far ahead they are and when they can pit.
Yeah, Thomas Wangen. I think he is he's the man on the move. He's been the only guy really in the 2:16 bracket over the last couple of laps. So he's definitely hauling in, and that gap is visibly shorter on the time screens as well. Thomas Wangen now just under 2 seconds actually from Sokolowski. So Thomas Wangen, I think he is in a great spot to challenge for this race win. The time's even out for the first time that time around. But watch for Thomas Wangen. Now that he has Sokolowski in his sights, he's got a great chance to win this race.
That he does. We're only just under 10 minutes into this race though, of course, and as you might have seen, many drivers running wide on certain corners, trying to gain just that little bit of extra advantage. Every time they do so, it gives them an incident point. Same story as the last race, 20 incident points will give you a drive-through penalty. So the drivers will have to keep that in mind. That is pretty much dead on. 1 incident point every 2 minutes. So that's about an incident point a lap they can afford. Anything more than that, they will be heading down for a trip through pit lane, and trust me when I say drive-through penalties don't end well. They feel like the longest time you've ever spent driving down the pit lane. Here is the off-track counter for SDK Gaming. It's not 100% accurate, being that it's not the same system that iRacing uses, but it does give you a pretty good estimate here.
Indeed, to see Thomas Wangen really pushing on. He's getting quite loose there, coming through the S's and actually scrubbing off quite a lot of speed and wearing his tyres quite significantly. But so he's really pushing hard in the pursuit of Sokolowski, and you can see that just by those just few more off-track penalties or marks, if you like. But he's good through these technical parts as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch Thomas Wangen's progress over the next phase of the race, but he's fought his way through, and the car looking much cleaner and happier than it was in the opening encounter with its rear wing missing.
Yeah, definitely it'll be much more enjoyable for him to drive as well. He's got his teammate in Team Vikings, Christiansen, just behind. Team Vikings leading the team's championship by around about 100 points heading into this race. So they have pretty much secured the title for teams champions. You can see the drivers' teams on the left-hand side. There's only 4 teams in this championship that are fighting for the team's championship. That is Team Vikings, Samsoid Emerald, Samsoid Blue, and I believe Iridium. The 4 teams that are fighting for this championship.
And of course, Matthias, he's on the team fighting against the world domination of Dr. Evil, of course, given that he's the German Austin Powers.
Oh, the German currently sitting in 4th as well, leading BMW. I can see him falling back a couple of places near the end of the race, though. Those tyres at the end of the first race were not looking too promising at all.
No, they were. It was really highlighting the foible of the BMW M4 in that latter stage for sure. But in the early stages, he had the secret weapon under the bonnet. That straight 6 twin turbocharged engine has got some serious gallop, and certainly helped Matthias Beer in those early stages. And he can see the leaders ahead of him. They're all in his sight line, so there's he's in this fight as well. Make no mistake about that. And how about a Matthias Beer double to finish the season? How cool would that be? Very groovy it would be.
Very groovy indeed. He's been up there, obviously race winner back in season 1 at Lime Rock Park. He took his BMW to victory lane. Meanwhile, Joel Evans and Velikov have got past Newell. Has Newell just pitted? No, he hasn't.
Yeah, Will Newell, one of our Antipodean drivers from a land down under. I wonder if he's 6'4" and full of thunder.
Oh dear.
So that's Thomas Wangen. Well, the pace, look how close they are between Sokolowski, Wangen and Christiansen. There's very, very little to separate them in time. And Sokolowski's staying, he's really holding well under the pressure here. Joel Evans is taking his pit stop, so if you've just joined us, Evans back in 8th. He has pitted, so Sokolowski has not. In fact, most of the field have not pitted. So it's not an indicative position yet. So we'll see. It'll be really interesting to see how that pans out. As you can see, just Evans, Velikov, and Tolman have pitted. Now we've seen this quite a few times this season, where Patrick Sokolowski has played the strategy where he has literally wrung his tank dry, running it down to the very last litre, and then diving in for a quick splash and dash at the end. Then, in most cases, it's worked for him, Dane.
Yeah, it has. Last week at Atlanta, maybe the only time it didn't work out for him very well, and that's because Evans and Matthias Beer decided they were going to pit, as you said earlier in the broadcast, on lap 1, and they did a fantastic job staying out of trouble. Sokolowski, meanwhile, was having to battle with a couple of drivers, working his way up through the field, starting quite far back. I believe he started down 8th because he finished 3rd in the heat race. Also interesting to note, Joel Evans did a 2:17.35 last lap. Patrick Sokolowski did a 2:17.54, so 2/10 gained by Joel Evans. More interestingly, Velikov gained a whole second and some over Pontus Offerstrom on that last lap.
I tell you what, Mihail Velikov is doing all that is required to put the pressure under Pontus Offerstrom. And tell you what, Mihail Velikov, you know, if you look at some of the rounds where Joel Evans has been streets ahead of everybody else in the field, but Mihail Velikov is matching him blow for blow here at the Circuit of the Americas. And just when it matters too, this is when the pressure is on for both of these guys, but especially for Velikov. You know, he's the man who's got to come from behind, and he's doing a brilliant job right now. And I tell you what, you couldn't hook in your toe. You couldn't hook on to a better driver than Joel Evans.
Well, he is, of course, the overall and pro championship leader. So, yeah, he definitely could have picked a worse driver to follow along. But Offerstrom, once again, 2:20 exactly on that last lap, actually. And what is Velikov going to do as he crosses the line? It is a 2:18.131.
And also, if you look at it, there's not actually that much distance on track right now between them. As you can see, Overstrom is just going through the S's, and Velikov already coming down the hill to the beginning of the S's. So I would suspect when Overstrom does come in to take his pit stop, I suspect that Velikov's going to jump him.
Well, if he carries on gaining 2 seconds a lap, I think that's looking increasingly more and more likely. And what's really going to play a big role is, unless they finish first or second, Velikov would have to finish 5 places ahead of Offerstrom. 4 places would equal each other on points, but I'm not sure what the tiebreak is. So for Velikov to be guaranteed a win, he would need to finish 5 places ahead. They would be tied if he finishes 4 places ahead. But like I said, I don't know what the tiebreaker is. It feels like Pesk just a few weeks ago, Peter.
Indeed, yeah, it's very, very tight. And for Pontus Overstrom, I tell you what, I wonder if Pontus Overstrom is going to regret not coming in to get that damage repaired, because I suspect he's maybe just running. He has to be hampered at least a tenth or two a lap by that damage that he incurred. No fault of his own, of course. Marco Tolman spinning in front of him, and he had absolutely nowhere to go. It was really unlucky. But you've got to think that he should have come in, got that fast repair, and got his M4 back up to full health, and then got on with his race. But it just seems to be holding him back ever so slightly. And, well, Velikov has played a blinder by getting tucked in behind Evans. I mean, it's all very well trying to follow Evans, but being able to follow him for lap after lap after lap is mightily impressive for Mihail Velikov, and could well win him this championship.
Absolutely. Looking at the live gap between Offerstrom and Velikov, it's about 18 seconds. And if what I calculated earlier, around about 30, just over 30 seconds is the pit lane delta, then that is not even close. Velikov has got him by quite some distance. So potentially Velikov might have, like you said, played an absolute blinder here. And he might have just done enough. We have to wait and see, of course. Offerstrom doing a 219.2 on the last lap. Velikov doing another 218 flat. So once again, another 1.2 seconds taken out of Offerstrom's advantage. Oh, look at this. Wangen's caught up a little bit to Sokolovsky.
So he's now in the draft range. Of course, these cars don't provide a massive amount of slipstreaming advantage, but just the sight of Thomas Wangen just filling the mirrors of Patrick Sokolowski's Porsche Cayman is just going to put him that little bit more under pressure. And Thomas Wangen looks to have the bit between his teeth, and you've got to think that Thomas Wangen will have, well, I think he might have a point to prove perhaps after that controversial incident in race 1 where Sokolowski effectively just drove him straight off the track. So, you know, I think Wangen will want to make a pass here and, more importantly, make it cleanly.
That last part definitely being the operative word in that statement. Thinking of it, if Sokolowski gets a good few penalties for what happened in the heat race, and Wangen does all right in this race, he might leapfrog him up into second.
That's definitely possible, for sure. It definitely is on the cards. And Thomas Wangen, well, you've got to think that Thomas Wangen, he'll look back to a couple of little mistakes that have really cost him dearly. I'm thinking back to Charlotte Roval. He just made one mistake on the turtle curb there, and that put him in the wall. And there's a few others as well where he's just not quite been able to convert on those really good qualifying performances that he's had.
I tell you, who's actually in a bit of a better position to beat Sokolowski here is Matthias Beer, who, as far as I've just worked out with that win, and Wangen sends it up the inside. We saw this in the last race. It didn't end well, and it's not going to end well again. This time the driver on the outside gets turned around, and Sokolowski, more drama, as if there wasn't enough.
That is a shame. That is really, really a shame. Thomas Wangen was on the charge there. And, well, let's see, have a look at this. Coming around the S's, Wangen is right on the gearbox. He's been closing him in and goes for the inside. Goes to make the move. Does make it cleanly. Sokolowski gives him the room to start with. And, a difficult one to call that, to be honest. Dane, just a bit of a shame all round.
Yeah, I think you might have just been right with that one. What is clear now is that Beer is definitely, he's very, very likely to end up in that third position in the championship if he can keep this run of good results going. Because obviously race winner in race number 1, he is in a prime position here to take third position in the standings away from Thomas Wangen.
Yep, he's certainly going about it the right way, is Matthias Beer. So let's see how it plays out. But as you mentioned, Dane, if we believe that he could well run into tyre wear issues. So Sokolowski's in, and I suspect he's maybe nursing a bit of damage. But he's a pretty reasonable time, just after half race distance. Perfect time to come into pit lane, and look who follows him in, Thomas Wangen. That might well mean that they both resume their battle later on.
Yeah, definitely. The two drivers pretty close. Sokolowski starting on pole position. He's going to start right. His pit box is going to be right on the end there. Expecting a 7-second stop, and that is what we got from both drivers. Sokolowski actually taking 8 seconds in the pit box. Thomas Wangen only taking 6.
So as Wangen and Sokolowski come out of pit lane, just wait for our timing screen just to rejig. But what does that mean? Okay, so Sokolowski's in 6th. Just looking, if you look to the top right-hand side of your screen, we have our SDK Gaming track map with part of the SDK Gaming software, which you can have for your own streams or for that extra competitive advantage out on track. So if you look at the top right-hand side of the screen, you'll see these little green and red. They almost look like M&Ms, don't they? And the number 6 it signifies the position on track. So that is Patrick Sokolowski. Immediately behind is Thomas Wangen, and then we have Evans and Velikov. So that surprised me, to be honest, Dane. I would have expected Velikov and Evans to have hopped over them and to have undercut them in the pits, but actually both Wangen and Sokolowski have come out in front.
Well, I guess when they did pit, they were quite some distance behind them, so they probably have caught up quite a considerable amount of time by pitting early and staying out of trouble. It actually seems like they have. They've gained around about 5 seconds, the two of them, because Evans was caught up in some kind of turn 1 incident. He dropped back considerably, as did Velikov, and look at this side by side between Offerstrom and Silcock. Silcock just making that move stick there. Offerstrom falling back just a little bit further. That's not what he needs. The gap between Offerstrom and Velikov now is 11 seconds.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of contact there, a little bit of door-to-door action there going through that final section as Jeff Miner comes into pit lane. He's probably thinking, you guys can carry on with that punch up front, and I'll just go in and take my pit stop and get out of the way of that one. So this is going to be a fascinating end to this race here at the Circuit of the Americas. Of course, sports car racing, a pretty regular fixture here at this facility. We have the Pirelli World Challenge that it was previously now known as SRO America, but did actually host one round of the American Le Mans series in its very early days as a circuit. And now, Dane, I don't know if you've ever seen the Netflix documentary Dirty Money before.
No, I have not.
There is a very tenuous link here that I've got for you. So there was in about 5 or 6 years ago, there was a race car team called Level 5 Motorsports, and it's reported as notorious for being one of the most incredibly well-funded, privately owned race teams in history. And it was owned by a guy called Scott Tucker, who is now in the jail, basically, as we say here in Scotland. And he went to jail for 15 years for racketeering. So he had a payday loan company which had enormous interest, and he made an absolute fortune and spent a whole lot of it on motor racing. And he actually won here in the American Le Mans series with none other than Ryan Briscoe as his co-driver in an Acura HPD, which of course drivers on iRacing will be very familiar with. So there you go. A previous winner here at Circuit of the Americas is now in prison.
You always seem to know who's been in prison, Peter.
Policeman's son, or policeman's grandson, I should say. Both of my grandfathers were the head of the local police force.
Well, as I often say with you, Peter, I learn something new every day. As Beer heads into the pits, I saw he might have been struggling with his tyres. We're about the length of race 1 into this race. The BMW drivers seem to be struggling now. It's going to be very interesting to see, is he going to take tyres? No, he's not. Takes the fast repair. Only stopped for 4 seconds.
So he's maybe been maybe that BMW is a little bit better on the fuel consumption, perhaps. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, for Matthias Beer, I guess if tyres were an issue, what do you think, Dane? Just coming into pit lane there is, Christensen's off in the lead. Oh dear. That's not what he wants. It's not been a good day for Roger Christensen. But yeah, just coming back to Matthias Beer as we look at this replay, do you think that just coming into pit lane might be good just to cool the tyres off ever so slightly?
Yeah, I guess it can't hurt at all. Christensen just losing it. In the change of direction, the weight shifting just sent the car around. Unfortunate for him. Still leads, of course, but he hasn't pitted, so those drivers of Christensen, Silcock and Offerstrom, the only drivers who haven't stopped the top 3. I'd love to get an on-board shot from Offerstrom's car because we don't think his steering is very straight. It looks fairly straight there. You can see the damage to the front of the car though.
Yeah, that can't be helping him aerodynamically, and of course to use the advantage of the BMW to its full potential, you need to have it slipping away down the straight. So to have a bit of bodywork damage, that's not going to help the aerodynamics of that car. Interesting that he leaves it in second gear there at that very, very tight hairpin there, just using the torque of the BMW to drive him out these slow corners. Of course, twin turbocharged, so when the turbos come on, it's got a big slosh of power. Does this big Munich missile? But you've got to think that he's wanting to come into pit lane right now because, well, I'm struggling to explain why he would try this this strategy call.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his dash, you can see the last lap time he set was a 20.6. Oh, and he does. Wow. Into the pits he goes then. 10 minutes to go. And Silcock follows him. This is going to be very interesting. Ooh. As Silcock got a little bit close to him. We know that Velikov is about to come out the final corner now. There he goes. And there he goes past him. Sokolovsky right in the back of Matthias Beer, who inherits the effective lead of the race. Oh, you tipped him for the win. He's currently leading the race right now. Christensen still has the pit, of course, but because Christensen made that mistake, it's very likely he comes out behind Velikov, but he's going to come out in front of Offerstrom. And Silcock comes out behind Offerstrom. Oh, that's just throwing a curveball in, because I thought that Offerstrom was about to lose the championship, but I think Silcock's just saved it.
Well, it's just that, well, we've still got just over 8 minutes to go in this motor race, and there's still plenty action to come. Matthias Beer now ahead of Patrick Sokolowski after the pit cycle. Just Roger Christensen to pit now, and, well, Mihail Velikov in 6th. Jeff Miner in 7th, Pontus Overstrom 8th. Now, if they finished in that order, Dane, I presume that Overstrom would just edge it, would just win the championship.
I believe he would by around 2 points, which is very close indeed. But all it will take for Velikov to make up that gap is a mistake from Offerstrom, an overtake for himself. Actually, Silcock, we saw, was faster than Offerstrom, especially with the worn tyres in the BMW. So if Silcock can get back past Offerstrom, that would allow Velikov to be level on points with him, and then it would go down to whatever the tiebreaker might be.
Wow, so that's all to play for here in this conclusion to what has been a fantastic Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series, and we are not done. Is Matthias Beer doing everything he needs to do to keep that BMW in front in the twisty sections, and then opening it up through the straight. So as you can see, Sokolowski gets a little bit better mid-corner speed, and there it goes. It just drags away. See you later, alligator. And I have to say, I'm going cross-eyed now looking at the back of that BMW with that paint scheme.
Well, like you said last week at Atlanta, Sokolowski tries to go all the way around the outside. That's not going to work. We've seen him go for some serious lunges over the course of the season, especially here at COTA. And I can't help but think he's close enough now. Is he going to try and make a send in the S's?
Well, look who's just sneaking up in the background. Thomas Wangen. Is he going to be the fly in the ointment here for this championship? And Sokolowski, you know that if there's even half a gap, he will go for it. Well, he's been a bit of the Ash Sutton of this championship, hasn't he, Dane? He's been incredibly fast, but if there isn't a gap, he'll just make one anyway.
Yeah, he just got a little bit loose as well on the exit there. But he does have to look behind it. Thomas Wangen, who's just closed half a second through Sector 1. Gap now less than a second. And it looks like Wangen got a better exit as well. Sokolovsky, is he closing? He's just closing the gap on the end of this straight, with just over 5 minutes left to go. Then this is going to be close.
This is going to be super close. Just 5 minutes to go. Probably, it's going to be very close whether it's going to be 2 or 3 laps to go. I'd probably say 2 laps to go after this one. As Matthias Beer getting very slippy and slidey there, but covering his line well, and nothing much that Sokolowski can do. Like you mentioned earlier, Dane, there's a lot of places here where it's one line and then he's just got to try and furiously defend when the gaps open up. But he's doing a great job of that right now, placing his car right on the spots that he needs to. And Sokolowski getting you can tell he'll be frustrated behind the wheel there. But all the while, look at Thomas Wangen as Sokolowski goes way wide and uses all the circuit room and more. And Wangen, he is right there. He is going to get involved here as Sokolowski gives it a wee barge there. And through into turn 1 they go. Sokolowski goes for that outside switchback Matthias Beer style. Goes wide. Here goes Wangen.
Still side by side. Oh, Sokolowski all the way on the right-hand side. Completely off the circuit. Just about makes it stick. I can't help but wonder if Wangen just backed out of that one after what happened to him in the heat races.
Maybe. Yeah, I think it's, well, I'm surprised Sokolowski didn't have a slowdown penalty to serve there, because he took a lot of inside curb, almost the whole car up on the curb, but obviously just within the track limit there. So, but I think Wangen has the pace here with a couple of laps left. I think Sokolowski getting trapped behind Matthias Beer. I think Wangen, I think he's the danger man for the win here.
Oh, Sokolowski's gone up the inside. Evans, not too far behind either. If these three continue to scrap, Beer has got Sokolowski all over his bumper, though. He's going to have to defend the inside line, I would suspect, especially given the driver behind him. He does just a little bit cover him off. Wangen almost looked up around the outside of Sokolowski there. Thought the better of it. Evans now about to join this battle. They're going to have 2 laps. No, potentially even just 1 lap to go.
I think it might just be 1. Yeah, we'll see when they come around. But look what's happened also. Christiansen has come out behind Velikov. So Velikov is now in 5th. Overstrom is still in 8th. So does that change the complete? Does that then even the Velikov and Overstrom up on points now?
No, but that does. Overstrom just made a terrible mistake. Silcock almost got past him. Just looking at the relatives here, Overstrom just lost a whole heap of time. Oh, and a little bit of contact between Sokolowski and Beer. Sokolowski running all the way out wide. No respect for track limits whatsoever.
This is going to end well. This is fierce battling here between Matthias Beer
2 laps to go. More contact. Wangen back up the inside. Wangen's got him this time.
Oh, he's got Sokolowski. He's not got Beer though. And gee whiz, that's more aggression there from Sokolowski. Matthias Beer giving as good as he got though. And all the while, look at this. Joel Evans turning up. Look at him there in that little green and yellow Cayman. He's now right on the back of this train as well. There's Velikov in a very strong 5th position. Oh, Sokolowski dives up the inside, parks it on the apex, and allows Matthias Beer that very briefest of respite. A little bit of almost a bump there from Wangen. And look at Joel Evans. Joel Evans could pass them both.
And if he does, I strongly suspect that would be championship over. Look at that. Wangen giving the position to Evans. I think he's just gone and said, have at him.
Politics. I think you're absolutely right. That's exactly what happened there. Wangen's just like, oh dear, through you go then. Have fun with that one, Patrick. Well, as Joel Evans flashes his lights at his championship rival, this is getting very, very spicy indeed, Dane Baird. My goodness. Now, the question is, can Matthias Beer hold on for a double victory here at the Circuit of the Americas in this final round? How it would be, what a story that would be.
Yeah, it would. BMW hasn't been the best car pretty much all season, really. He hasn't really had much of an opportunity to. He has got one lap to fend off Sokolovsky just behind. Does have to be careful though. Oh, Sokolovsky a little bit loose coming through the penultimate corner then. 30 seconds left on the clock. There's not enough time for Beer to slow down and take the checkered flag. Takes the defensive line through the final corner. Sokolovsky's going to have a good run again. Oh, and more contact. Evans to the lead.
Oh, well, that changes everything now. So, time to get your calculator back out again, Dane. So, Patrick
That's just promoted Velikov up to third. Velikov is about to win the AM Championship. As it stands now.
Oh, wow. So Overstrom, he hasn't got past that incident, but Velikov has. So yes, that makes the difference. Wow. Goodness me. I mean, Matthias Beer is holding his line just in the middle there, and just Sokolowski just drives into the side of him. I mean, this has been a really strange end to the championship for Sokolowski. I mean, it's only really been in these last couple of rounds where he started making these really aggressive moves, and it's such a pity to see it. It's cost him the championship.
Not calm under pressure. There's Offerstrom. He's an absolute mile behind the driver in front of Jeff Miner. But Silcock is right behind him. I say he's an absolute mile. I just heard Jeff Miner is only 4 seconds up the road. As you can see there, but Silcock keeping the pressure on at all times. That, as far as I'm concerned, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions behind Velikov, which would give him a 10-point gain on Offerstrom, which would give him 2 points clear at the top of the tables unless drop scores come into effect. We obviously don't know what the drop scores of the drivers are. So, unless there's a drop score involved here, I think Velikov has just been gifted the AM title.
Yeah, I think so. Both Velikov and Overstrom have both had two completely disastrous, almost no score rounds. So I guess the drop scores won't come into it at this stage. Of course, we're calculating the rounds with a drop score included. So not only has Joel Evans been granted a win there and the championship by that incident. So here he comes then. Joel Evans is going to take a shock win here in the second race of the day and confirms himself as the Apex Racing Academy GT4 champion. Joel Evans for Samsoid Emerald Racing for Porsche. He wins it. A brilliant, brilliant drive with Thomas Wangen also very impressive indeed in second. And Mikhail Velikov, we think, the third placed. Well, he's confirmed in third of this race. And he is also going to be the AM class champion as well. What a day's racing here at Circuit of the Americas.
Oh, I'm just gonna have a quick check, as the drivers have still got to cross the line because of that contact. Matthias Beer and Patrick Sokolovsky both had drive-through penalties, and I don't know if iRacing will give you a penalty if you take that on the final lap. And if it does, when Will Newell crosses the line here, Beer and Sokolovsky might just get given a nice hefty, I think it would be a 25-second penalty, which would put them...
Well, it would bump Overstrom up 2 spots.
It would.
Oh my goodness me! I can't handle this, Dane. This is drama and mathematics all in one. They were my 2 worst subjects at school. I must be honest.
Oh, and it has. Offerstrom.
No.
Has just been promoted up into 6th. Offerstrom has the title.
No way.
This is
That
insane.
that is madness. Well, let's see. Let's get the unofficial results then. There you are. Joel Evans confirmed as the winner, and he is the Pro Class champion, the overall champion of the Apex Racing Academy GT4 series. Thomas Wangen finishes in second, Mihail Velikov third for Nuyuka Factory, Roger Christensen fourth, Jeff Miner fifth, Pontus Overström goes up to sixth after the demise of Beer and Sokolowski. And we will, well, these are all unofficial results for now, but we believe that Pontus Overström, having lost the championship on the final lap, he might have gained it post-race. So, wow. We're going to take a very brief break here on the iRacing Esports Network for a message from our sponsors, Virtual Racing School. Do not go anywhere. We will be back with driver interviews.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Well, welcome back to the iRacing Esports Network and Apex Racing TV, where we've been treated to, well, one of the most dramatic finales to a season you are ever likely to see. And I'm delighted to say that we have our Pro Class champion, Joel Evans, joining us in the commentary box. And he joins us now. Joel Evans, you are the Apex Racing Academy GT4 VRS Super Series champion. How does it feel, sir?
It's really good feeling, mate. I didn't expect it coming into this round. I thought Patrick, especially after the first race start, he had it, and then I don't even know what happened. Whew.
Well, I mean, tell us about some of your standout memories of both of those races, because there was a lot going on and there's some seriously aggressive driving going off around you. I have to say, I have to commend you on your very, very clean driving. Tell us about your thoughts of the action out on track today.
Yeah, well, I started off not really the best with that terrible start. Sort of the single screen going around the final corner, so I was already sort of on the back foot. And then I had people left, right, and centre, come in here, come in there, and then it's just, I had Greg, my teammate, spotting me, so he was calling out all the moves, making everything a lot easier. It
certainly did, and of course, coming here into Circuit of the Americas, it's it was, how did you find it challenging with the BMWs, particularly Matthias Beer? I mean, that car is an absolute missile in a straight line, but the Porsche is so much better through the curves. How did you find it?
Yeah, Matthias was really quick today because, as you saw at the start of the first race, he ended up in front of me, and there was no way I was getting by. So it was just sit behind him and hope he made a mistake, I guess, because that's the sort of downfall of the BMW. It's quite easy to get a mistake here and there.
It certainly worked out that way. Now, final question, Joel. I mean, it's been a long season in this particular series. What's your next with this championship under your belt? What's the next objective for your sim racing?
I'm going to try and finish out the IMSA Pilot GT4 in this car. Finish out Div 2 in first place, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And then I'm not sure, maybe move up to GTEs, do another round in a GT4. I'm not too sure yet. I'll see where my iRacing takes me.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing you again here in one of our championships here in the Apex Racing League. Joel, I'm sure there's plenty of people you want to give a shout out to as the new champion. Now's your chance.
Of course, Greg Hubler, my teammate all the way through the series, giving us our fuel calculations and everything for the second race. Obviously, spotting for this race made it so much easier. Just made it a bit more chill and relaxed through the race. And of course, Mike and Chris as well, who are the other Samsoid team in the season. They didn't manage to make it today, but they really pushed me and made me a better driver overall.
Well, you certainly did a great job. Joel, go and enjoy that championship win, and looking forward to chatting again very soon.
Yeah, thank you for the hosting. It's been great fun.
Not a problem. So, that was Joel Evans, our championship winner. And I believe we have our AM class provisional championship winner, Pontus Overström, who is with Dane Baird.
About that, I've just been told by a series admin, Stan Fitzpatrick, my calculations were incorrect. I had the wrong points sheet. The races scored the same. So there were no double points for the second race. So Velikov has actually won the championship here.
Okay, well, enjoy your interview with Pontus then.
Hi.
Pontus, that first race then, it seems like you've just possibly lost the championship in the final round. You did pretty much everything you could though in that final race that you were picked up a little bit of damage at the start there, I think.
Yeah, I think I had a collision with Tollman, I believe. Not really sure who it was, but yeah, pretty disastrous race overall. Not my strongest tracks, but I shouldn't really blame the track. Just a bad performance overall.
Well, you still managed to pick up 6th after an incident ahead of you, but it just wasn't enough. It was a great round for your competitor, Velikov. He seemed to really enjoy the circuit, unlike yourself. You seem to struggle a bit. And I've been told that the BMW tyre wear at this circuit is pretty atrocious. Were you starting to struggle a bit for grip near the end?
I felt like I had a pretty good grip the first 3 or 4 laps, but then it just went downhill. This long turn, so pretty hard, and you can't really go full throttle at it.
Yeah, it's a very tricky circuit, COTA. But you've had a pretty good season, 7 rounds of this season. Would you like to give us a bit of a roundup of your season? What did you make of it?
Overall, I felt like it's been better than I expected joining this league. Obviously, I had a terrible Oran Park, and this race, I'm not really that happy with it. But Mid-Ohio and Road Atlanta has definitely been the best races for this season.
Well, absolutely, Pontus. Commiserations really on coming second in the championship. I mean, you did a great job. Second place is definitely nothing to not be proud of. You should definitely be proud of taking second position after the 7-round championship. But yes, commiserations on losing the championship, I guess, is the easiest way I can put it. But congratulations on finishing second. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to on Apex Racing TV and the iRacing Esports Network?
Do you know how many points I lost with?
I can check if you give me 1 second. Oh, it's 3 points. You lost by
man.
3 points at the end there.
Well,
Oh dear.
a big thanks to you guys for organizing the leagues and all the different competitors that have joined it. It's been great racing throughout the season, and I hope to see you next time.
Well, thank you for joining us for the Apex Racing League and the Apex Racing Academy, Pontus, and hopefully we'll see you out on track sometime soon.
Yeah, bye.
So that was Pontus Overstrom, very, very noble in defeat, and he ran it so close. So let's get a chat in with his fellow BMW driver, Matthias Beer, and he joins us now in the commentary box. Matthias, you had a brilliant run in race 1, and then disaster in race 2 from the lead. Tell us about your day.
Hi Peter, hi Dane. Yeah, race 1 was very good. It was very exciting. First lap, I think I lost the position, but then the battle went up in front of me, and I took advantage of it. And then Joel gave me a hard time. I think it was Joel, right? Evans, who was fighting with me the first 4 or 5 laps, or 2 laps, and then I don't know what really happened behind me, but then I had some room. Evans was gone, Sokolovsky was gone, and I think it was Velikov behind me. And first 2 laps or so, I was getting him behind, but then he started to gain on me because my tires, as usual, were gone. But anyways, it worked out in round 1, and round 2 I was quite lucky on the start, and on the following 3 or 4 laps, and then I was behind the Wengen Christiansen train, I think, and I was matching the pace of them quite well, and so I thought, okay, stay out. And when they were pitting, I thought, okay, maybe I need to cover Sokolovsky or at least Wangen, and it worked out to get in front of both of them. And the last laps, what should I say? Patrick was very aggressive the last 3 laps. Already nudged me the 2 laps before the major incident. Yeah, unfortunate. What else can I say?
Well, you're being very polite, but what more can we expect from? What more can we expect from the international man of mystery, the German Austin Powers, Matthias Beer? Matthias, it's been a wonderful season. Your final thoughts from? Well, you've certainly been the easiest man to spot out on track in that wonderful painted BMW.
Thank you very much. I hope we will see soon. I don't know. I hope I can race on some Apex leagues in the future. Maybe not GT4, but maybe GT or GT3. Let's see.
Well, we will be delighted to have you, and I personally am very excited to see the next Matthias Beer original paint scheme as well.
Thank you very much.
Well, Matthias, good stuff today. Congratulations on the race 1 win, and hopefully we'll see you very soon here in the Apex Racing paddock.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So next up here in the commentary box is Patrick Sokolowski, who is with Dane Bear.
Well, Patrick, welcome to the interview room then, and probably a race event to forget for you.
Hello. Well, not really. I think I was prepared well for that race. Unfortunately, on lap 1 of the heat race, Thomas braked surprisingly early for me. I just bumped him on the rear. And well, with Roger, I think it was a netcode. I just checked that. And also unfortunate. Of course, it will be my fault, but yeah, what can I say when you're trying to race on the absolute limit? And in feature race, everything was going well until the moment when just Thomas tried. This on this track he always tried to squeeze me everywhere, or just drive like I wouldn't be on his side basically. And yeah, I don't see my fault there, but yeah, I need to check that on the replay, of course. And with Matthias, unfortunately, yeah, he lost the car mid corner, and because he was trying to go as tight line as possible, and yeah, I didn't have any room there to move anywhere, and yeah, there was a contact, and we both spun. So
you came into this event hoping for the championship win, and you ended up, for various reasons, finishing both races down in 10th. That last lap drive-through penalties in both races actually, but the last lap drive-through penalty in the feature race really sent you down the order because you got a post-race penalty for that as well.
Yeah. Well, there was no chance to do that drive-through during the race, so effectively we were doing those drive-through after the race. So because of that additional penalty, I think the result was really bad in both races, but I don't think except contact with Thomas in the first race, and maybe contact with Matthias, I don't think I made major mistakes on this during those two races.
Well, there was a pretty hot track as well here, and COTA's sort of infamous for track limits. Looking through the incident sheet, pretty much all of the drivers up well above 10, some of them over 15 out of the 20 allowed incident points. It seemed pretty difficult to keep the drivers, or keep the cars on the track in this event.
Yeah, that's true, especially when you are fighting with someone, because there's not many places to overtake here. I mean, especially when you're fighting with BMW, which is far superior on the straights. So yeah, I tried to gain time to Matthias in the corners, but yeah, and just trying to watch for his mistakes, but yeah, ended how it ended. So yeah.
Well, Patrick, commiserations on losing out on the championship win, but congratulations on potentially second position in the championship. Before we let you go here on Apex Racing TV and the iRacing Esports Network, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Not particularly. I just want to say that I'm really disappointed by behavior of some of the drivers during today's race, because saying bad words on voice chat is just unacceptable. So yeah, really bad.
Well, Patrick, thank you for coming to have a chat for us. And
one more thing. Congrats to Joe for winning that. Yeah, he was better this season, and that's it.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us for an interview, and hopefully we'll see you around the Apex Racing paddock sometime soon.
Okay, bye.
Well, Peter, this was a pretty eventful race then, I guess, and not really any other way to describe that. And yeah, I'm sad to see the end of the season, but it's been a great one.
Oh, it has, yeah. It's been a brilliant battle all season long between not only Patrick Sokolowski and Joel Evans, but the Team Vikings guys, particularly Thomas Wangen, Matthias Beer, and the lone BMW is winning a couple of races as well. And yeah, it's been a fantastic series across some excellent circuits. Mid-Ohio and Oran Park and Road Atlanta have been to some really nice circuits too. So it has been fantastic to bring the action to you all here on the iRacing eSports Network. That's about all we've got time for on tonight's broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon on Apex Racing TV.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Pekin Freeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.